Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Java. Thank you again for joining me. This is for Thursday. It's November 30th, 2023, Tesla Cybertruck launch date that's huge in the news. Although there's quite a bit going on today, one of the things that I would like to say is I think I'm being shadow banned again. So I'm probably looking at trying to move and migrate a little bit more between Substack, probably Twitter. I'm on there a bit. So anyway, if you don't mind staying through, please hit the like, see if I can get through this. I think I said something in my last video that somebody didn't like, even though I'm trying to be very careful about my language and things that we say, which really bothers me because I think that we should have freedom of speech. I'm not saying anything that I think is really extreme or offensive, but apparently somebody else thinks otherwise. And I am getting a couple of emails, so I just thought I'd bring that up. Um, while I do love my climate and my environment, I am not an activist. So I just want to say that. Let's get back to the markets. Okay, so we've got our favored risk indicator is the Manorino Market Risk Indicator, MMRI. It's come down still. So we're at 275.3, still showing that the risk level, even though it's in high territory, it's staying relatively stable. So the two main elements of that, the dollar index and the 10-year yield, both rising slightly. But if they stay managed, it's okay for the markets because they're building off of it. Did close mixed yesterday, and we're watching gold is getting coming back a little bit, but it's still well above that 2000 level. That's a safety play. We've got oil is coming up a little bit. This is ahead of the summit. So they're expected to talk about how much they're going to restrict the supply, which would be positive for oil. We've got the futures are in the green, and so they are thinking that this is good for the markets. Right now, sentiment is bullish, kind of mixed. Watching PMI, if we come in with high inflation numbers, the market thinks that there will be more hikes coming, so that would be bearish for stocks. So if we get high inflation, then stocks will drop. So going through that, we've got the calendar that is coming up for today. We've got both today and tomorrow. Today we've got the OPEC meeting, watching personal spending and the PMI, also getting pending home sales at 10 o'clock. Tomorrow will be the more PMI numbers, and Fed Chair Powell will speak, so that could be market moving as well. Got a couple of specific stock shorts. I don't normally do this, but this is not financial advice. You have to do your own research. But I wanted to bring these up with a couple of things because they could have an effect on these new specifics. So Russian officials are banning Apple products, basically iPhones. Cannot use these for security, and also they are, which is kind of ironic, they are using Huawei, which is Chinese phones are eclipsing those. But I think it's more to do with political rather than product. Still, Apple could face headwinds on that. We've also got health insurance giants. They're merging basically. So United Health, Cigna, Humana. So take a look at those if you would care to. It's going into the news. As I said, today is mostly going to be about the OPEC plus oil producers in their meeting. So if they squeeze the supply, that is positive for oil, which will also increase inflation. Spoken about this before, but that could cause some headwinds for also the Fed and their interest rate hike decisions. So along with that, we're getting an awful lot of electric vehicle EV news, but that doesn't matter because even if moving to EV, they think that will crush oil, it won't. Everything else is either shipped or made from or made along with oil. So we continue to need that. So we've got the CyberTruck coming out today. And we've got a couple of other stories in support of that. I'd like to go through Mercedes and BMW are establishing a joint venture for basically the charging networks. And this is for all EVs in China as they're trying to move off of this as well. But China has a direct link to not just Middle Eastern, but also Russian oil. So they're not really affected by these oil supply restrictions. And then we've got America on the other side. Now we've decided that America has teamed with Argentina. So they're tapping Argentinian and basically South America, Venezuelan oil, one way or another. They're going to get those resources. So we've got China Evergrande. So this is with real estate, but their economy in general will be heavily affected by what happens with Evergrande. And I think they're going to manage this because they can, different ways. But they're talking about their debt plan for this large group. It's enormous, enormous debt. So, and huge story, I'm kind of glossing over it, but it's huge for the economy. We've got GM talking about the labor union deals with United Auto Workers and the cost of $9.3 billion over the life of the contract. And so now, since they were basically they were victorious with this, UAW is looking to expand with electric vehicles as well. There's an awful lot of money going on with the union for this in the back door. It's not about just labor and helping people. So just to bring that up. So we've got Ford reinstating their guidance, and GM is doing very well actually with this restructuring. So in financial general news, they've got the fact that Americans are basically doom spinning, and it's not just Americans, but basically 96% are concerned about the state of the economy, and yet they're spending more than they normally would instead of caring for the finances. So it's kind of a psychological thing that because people are not feeling good about it, they're spending more. We've got Bill Ackman also saying that the US economy is facing real risk of a hard landing if the Fed doesn't cut interest rates soon. But as I said, they're kind of in this catch 22. We have to watch this moving forward. It's mostly going to be probably after the year, after the bonuses are paid out. So we're really looking at this toward the beginning of 2024. So with this, we've got kind of in the background this another entity that I think tied in with the Federal Reserve is I don't have an awful lot of respect for the FDIC. They're reporting falling bank profits and warning about commercial real estate risks. Well, this is very true. They're limiting, they're also controlled by what the government entities are saying. So, who they back up and which banks they allow to fail is making a huge difference. So, really, what's going on, there is a tremendous amount of bank runs going on right now with everybody pulling cash out. So, with other foreign banks, they are also having issues. UK banking giant Barclays is firing staff. They're cutting costs, everybody looking at trimming back in order to survive what is coming. So we'll see more mergers going on. In Deutsche Bank, this is a good example here. They're scoring on Lehman Brothers. So they purchased the other one, pennies on the dollar, while investors are losing out. The big banks are gaining. So we've got Euro extending losses on their inflation drop as their forecasts are going up. So it's kind of happening across the board. It's not one area. Meantime, this is over in Iran because of all the sanctions and everything with the war shifting the focus. The US has been bolstering Iran and Syria, and now they are talking about expanding their monetary and banking relationships. So, not just with the banking and monetarily, they're in Damascus discussing this now, but they are bolstering their actual economies. And transit of goods over Iran up 28% over the past 8 months. So now we're going into this by proxy war with Iran because of the Israel-Hamas thing, but yet we've boosted their economy over the past 8 months because of sanctioning Russia. So a couple of lava updates that I just want to bring forward. The Christmas tree lighting ceremony at Rockefeller Center in New York. They still had the ceremony, but there were quite a few, there were pro-Palestinian protests going on. The migrant issue is growing. There was another issue, wasn't regarding the Palestinian thing, but in Ireland, and it's beginning to grow. So if they're having their revolts, their protests, and they're being quelled by their government saying that it's hate speech. So I have to be very careful about what I'm saying, but that unrest is growing, hopefully growing to America as well. We're seeing some pockets of resistance growing. I probably shouldn't use that word, but to the migrants and what is going on, awareness is spreading. Microsoft Wise is here because they got a non-voting board seat on AI. And moving AI forward, artificial intelligence, is really the focus of what's going to be forward in our new economy. We've got Amazon launching Q. That's their version. They've got huge web versions, and I think we need to watch these because of their surveillance and privacy, of course. And then also YouTube creators in the stars and more artificial intelligence. We can no longer tell what's real. And that's one of the things that's here. I'm cautious about what I'm putting out because I want to make sure that it's true, but also real. Nothing I use is artificial intelligence. So we've got an outrage that ChatGPT won't say slurs, and it's just the management of artificial intelligence in general. And I'll keep you updated on this. With the war, there were a couple of, I'm going to bring up one short thing. There are possible ties to Naphtali, and that brings up more US government ties into the hostages that happened with this current issue going on in the Middle East. There is a bit more. And I did want to say that I am moving more to Substack. I will have more details on these things that I'm talking about. Hopefully this video makes it out. Thank you all for being here. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.